What's going on, horror fanatics? Welcome to I Shot Him 6 Times YouTube horror movie channel. As you know, I'm your host Marcus. Please be sure to shoot that like button and subscribe to the channel, as well as shoot that notification icon so you get all the latest content updates to the channel. In this video, I'm going to talk about a bloody disgusting article from John Squires that released earlier on Thursday that talks about Shawneesmith coming out of acting retirement to reprise her role as Amandayoung in sawx. But before I get into it, let's hit that intro.
You are now watching I Shot Him 6 Times YouTube horror movie channel.
I shot him 6 times! Okay everyone, so as I said at the top of the video, a bloody disgusting article came out early Thursday from John Squires that talks about Shawneesmith reprising her role as Amandayoung in the new sawx film that is slated to be released on October 27th of 2023. Now, does it surprise me that they are trying to bring some of these older characters back? No, it does not, as this film is set to be the timeline is set to be between Saw 1 and Saw 2. And as we all know, Amandayoung was a really big piece of the Saw franchise from Saw 1 all the way through Saw 3 and actually throughout the entire franchise through flashbacks. But what is surprising is that Shawneesmith herself, the actress, is potentially coming out of acting retirement. Earlier in the year, she had retired from acting, stating that it was no longer fun anymore, that basically the older you get, you just fall out of love for certain things. And it seemed like that she had fell out of love for acting and that she was going to be retiring at a pretty early age. Usually actors, go until they're in their 60s, 70s. They go for as long as they can. So it was really shocking to hear that Shawneesmith at the age of 52 was going to be announcing her retirement from acting and focus more on filmmaking and writing and stuff like that. But with this article that we got and with the report out that she could be reprising her role as Amandayoung in Saw 10, it is obviously massive news. So let's get into the bloody disgusting article from John Squires, and then I'm going to cut back in and give my overall thoughts on Amandayoung returning to the Saw franchise and what I think it could mean for other potential older franchise stars to return in the franchise as well. And the article goes on to read, we learned just a couple months back that the upcoming Saw 10 will bring Tobinbell back to the franchise as horror icon John Jigsaw Kramer, and Deadline reports today that Shawneesmith is now also in talks to make her long-awaited return to the franchise. Deadline reminds, introduced as one of Kramer's victims in the original 2004 film, Shawneesmith's Amandayoung was later revealed to be an apprentice of the killer, known for forcing captives to play deadly games before meeting her end in Saw 3. It sounds like the plan for the untitled 10th installment in the franchise is to bring back all the major elements fans loved about the franchise, which could prove to be a smart move. As for how characters like Jigsaw and Amanda are able to come back, only time will tell. Deadline also reports that Synnøve McCarty Lund of Ragnarok, Stephen Brand of The Sandman, and Michael Beach of Dahmer will also star in the film, which is now in production. From Lionsgate and Twisted Pictures, the new film is slated for release on October 27th of 2023. Franchise stalwart Grevin Coutart, who directed the highly regarded Saw 6 and Saw the Final Chapter films and edited Saw 1 through 5, and Jigsaw is directing the project. Stay tuned for more on Saw 10 as we learn it. Okay everyone, so before I get into why Amandayoung's return to the Saw franchise would be significant for this new Saw film, I'm going to correct a mistake that I made earlier in the video. As I stated when I first did my Saw research, when this articles came out last year, that Saw X was greenlit, that we were getting a new Saw 10 film, I read an article from producer Josh Stolberg that had said that this timeline of this new Saw movie will be taking place between the events of Saw 1 and Saw 2. However, after doing some updated research, Now the rumors are saying that this timeline will be taking place between the events of Saw 2 and Saw 3, not Saw 1 and Saw 2. But why this is still significant for the Amanda Young character is because if this timeline is taking place between the events of Saw 2 and Saw 3, but before the events of Saw 3, obviously the ending of Saw 3, then we know that the Amanda Young character is still alive in this timeline. Now, the question is, what direction are we going in? Is this going to be an entirely new story picking up between the events of Saw 2 and Saw 3? I ask this question is because obviously the events of Saw 2 covered the game in The Revenge of Amanda against Eric Matthews, the detective who put her in jail planting evidence against her, which is why she decided to put him in a trap and play a game against him. And obviously, as we know in Saw 3, was about Dr. Lynn Denlin. So now we have to ask ourselves the question, after the events of Eric Matthews' game, was there another game played? Or maybe before the events of Eric Matthews' game, was there another game played? Or maybe leading into the events of Lynn Denlin's game, was there another game played? Basically what I'm trying to say is, from what it seems like, if this story is going to be taking place between the events of Saw 2 and Saw 3, there has to be a gap in between those events of those games between Lynn Denlin and Eric Matthews, where there possibly was another game played with different characters, which is obviously why we had the 3 new characters mentioned in the article from Bloody Disgusting's John Squires of Michael Beach and the other 2 characters that have been casted for the film. So in my opinion, in order to go in this new direction within the same timeline of the original Saw 2 and Saw 3 films, this has to be picking up where new characters are involved in the game. I cannot see this being a movie where we're going to rehash events or extend events from Eric Matthews' games or Lynn Denlin's game, anything like that. And I really would hope they would not go in that direction, because then we're not getting anything fresh. We're just getting something recycled. So let's just hope that they don't go in that direction. But I will say that I do think that this will, in between the events of Eric Matthews' game and Lynn Denlin's game, in between that, we have a bunch of new characters where a game is being taken place, and this is where, obviously, how you're bringing back Jigsaw and Amanda. But, obviously, it's a big deal if Amanda Young's character of Shawneesmith does reprise this role. Keep in mind, again, this is just, they're just in talks. She is just in talks. Nothing is pen to paper. Nothing is official yet. She is not out of retirement just yet. But I do think that a deal will get done. I do think that if she is at least teasing the thought of Amanda Young reprising her role as Amanda Young in Saw 10, then I do think that eventually if they give her the deal that she wants, that she's going to return as Amanda Young. And it's a big deal. It's because she's a beloved character within the franchise. She's an iconic character in the franchise. Over the years, the character of Amanda Young, the popularity has only grown. So the fact that they're trying to bring this character back, it doesn't surprise me, given the whole rumors about the timeline. But it doesn't surprise me, given that it seems like this Saw film is trying to get back to their roots. And what better way to get back to their roots by incorporating John Kramer and Amanda Young. Now, I have also been on record saying that I personally liked its Spiral. I thought that there's so many different directions you can go with after that movie, and I did not want to see another John Kramer led Saw movie because I didn't want anything to get repetitive. However, if there is a story that can be told between the events of Saw 2 and Saw 3 that does tie in, but in a fresh way, I can be okay with that. But another significant reason why Amanda Young returning to the franchise is a big deal is because now this opens the door for other veterans and iconic characters that we've grown to love in this franchise to return, such as Dr. Lawrence Gordon, such as Detective Mark Hoffman, such as Lee Winnell as Adam. If you have watched this channel, if you have caught any of my previous Saw videos, if you have saw my video on Adam, then you know that I do not believe that Adam is dead. I have never believed that Adam has been dead in this Saw franchise. Not for 1 second. I believe that he is alive, and I think this is a character that you can bring back as long as you make it make sense. But especially in the case of Cary Elves and Costas Mandylor as Detective Gordon and as Dr. Gordon and Detective Mark Kaufman, in my opinion, if this storyline is taking place between Saw 2 and Saw 3, I do not see how you don't have those characters come back, for the simple fact is they were as big as a part as Jigsaw's legacy, as much as Amandayoung was. They were involved in with Jigsaw just as much as Amandayoung. You can even make the argument that Mark Kaufman was a little bit more closer to Jigsaw, being that, at least until we got the reveal of Logan and Jigsaw, 2017's installment of the Saw franchise, that Mark Kaufman was one of the original apprentices of John Kramer. And obviously we found out that Dr. Gordon, after his game in Saw 1, from Saw 2 all the way to Saw 7, he was involved as an apprentice with John Kramer throughout the entire franchise, after the events of Saw 1. So in my opinion, Amandayoung returning to the franchise only opens the door for those old veteran characters to also come back. And in my opinion, you cannot do this movie with just John Kramer and Amandayoung. You have to bring back Dr. Gordon and as well as Detective Hoffman. Otherwise, in my opinion, the old storyline just doesn't add up and doesn't make sense, because then you're going to be wondering, where are these characters at, right now in this story? They have to be around. They have to be involved, being that they were involved with Jigsaw themselves. So, but the big thing here is, guys, once again, it's not official, but at least we're getting Shawneesmith to tease the fact that she could reprise her role as Amandayoung. She's teasing coming out of retirement, and in my opinion, what better way than to go out on top for her, to reprise her greatest character that she ever played, at least in my opinion, and as well as go on top with a big payday. If this is going to be the last movie that she ever does, I think it's going to be a bittersweet, and I think it's going to be a nice cherry on top of a very well successful career in terms of Shawneesmith. So I'm really excited about this news. Hopefully it does become official. Hopefully they give her what she wants, and hopefully she likes the script and the storyline adds up so that we can get Amandayoung back in the Saw franchise. But not only that, so that she continues to open the door for these other iconic characters such as Dr. Gordon and as well as Detective Hoffman to possibly make a return to the franchise. If you are a fan of the Saw franchise, and if you've been keeping up with Costas Mandylor over the years, then you know for a fact that he definitely wants to do another Saw movie. So fingers crossed, you guys. Hopefully Shawneesmith signs on the dotted line. Hopefully we get Amandayoung back in the Saw franchise, and hopefully that opens the door for other characters such as Dr. Gordon and Detective Mark Hoffman to return as well. Okay, everyone, that is it for this video. Leave a comment below and let me know your thoughts on Shawneesmith being in talks with sawx for a reprisal of her role as Amandayoung in the franchise. Do you want to see this character return to the franchise, or do you not want to see this character return? And would you just like sawx to focus on new characters being involved with the John Kramer character? Hit the comment section. I would love to hear from you. Once again, this is I Shot Him 6 Times YouTube horror movie channel. I'm your host, Marcus. Please be sure to shoot that like button. It helps out with the YouTube algorithm a ton. As well as if you're a new viewer, subscribe to the channel and shoot that notification bell so you get all the latest content updates to the channel. Be sure to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Patreon. Thank you all for watching.